This month, I hit Infinite in Marvel Snap in only 2 days using only 2 decks. Minimal bouncing around or experimentation, just focusing on the 2 lists that consistently check what the meta was doing. Let's dive into the video so I can show you exactly what these decks did, why they work, so you can use them too to speed to Infinite or improve your rank on the Infinite rank leaderboard ladder. Let's dive right into it, gang. Hey, what's up everybody? Kicker of Elves here. Hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Today I'm going to go over the 2 decks I used to hit Infinite during the first 2 days of the season. I've hit Infinite the past 38 months in a row. That's every season since December of 2022. This is I think the 3rd month in a row I've hit it in the first 2 days of the season, but on a little bit of a speed running tear lately. And I zeroed in on just 2 decks. Now, to be clear right up front, when I talk about, just 2 decks, like, I messed around here and there at the couple, but there were 2 decks that I came back to time and time again that I used to just absolutely obliterate the rank ladder. And I think if you lock in on these 2 lists, you can do the same. So without further ado, let's dive into those lists. Okay, so this was the second of the 2. I'll go over the main list in just a moment here. But with the release of Shulao, I knew this was going to be a meta warping card. There were so many people talking about it. So with the release of Maverick in the previous season, there was a lot of Surfer experimentation, the Activate Surfer list I've talked about tons on this channel. Loved Maverick, but there was just a lot of hostility towards Maverick Jocasta decks last month. Cosmic Ghost Rider became even more apparent with the rise of the Chamber ramp list. Deafening Chord was everywhere. Shadow King was everywhere. So even though Maverick was a very strong card, it was just to the point where it's like there's so much threatening this that it just feels like sometimes I'll just play Maverick and they'll snap on me because they've got a Cosmic Ghost Rider. They've got a Deafening Chord Shadow King. They're just going to try to Cosmo. There was so much against it, but I did want to experiment with Show Surfer. This is a list from Heart of the Cards. You used it in the recent Snowball Showdown tournament. And the idea with this list here, even though this is Silver Surfer, this is first and foremost, this is a combo list. This is something where you're looking and saying, oh, can I play Shulao onto my Maverick and then use that Maverick buff to go on to Brood, and then can I Prodigy my Shulao, for example, or my Captain Carter, so the lane that I'm in right now is going to get super juiced as well. Surfer is ironically one of the worst cards in this list, but what this list is, unlike the Silver Surfer list of the past, this is very much like a full combo list. What you want to be doing here is you want to be proccing your Shulao by playing 2 cards each turn as much as possible. That's normally done by using Kitty Pride or having reduced cost with Surge, or if you're just able to get Merlin down early, you're getting a 1 cost each turn to just help curve things out. So on 4, you're playing a 3 cost and a 1, for example. A real big power spike with this list comes in the form of getting Hope Summers down on 3, for example. And then this is an ideal play line, but let's just talk through it here. If you play Hope Summers on 3 and then Agony into Maverick on 4, on turn 5, you're going to have 7 energy, which is going to let you set up 2 3 costs and a 1, or, and this is another popular thing, a Shulao plus 2 1s, all this sorts of crazy stuff like that, just so you can continue to proc things. If you're able to go, hey, even crazier on 5, having that 7 energy, Shulao onto the Hope location, so on turn 6 you have 7 energy, then you're able to boom boom to Maverick onto your Captain Carter or your Brood, and then still be able to play a huge kitty. Lines like that really help this list go over the top of a lot of the mid-rangey Shulao lists that are out there. Now, for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know I'm not the biggest combo gamer in the world. I like the more mid-rangey list where it feels like I'm always able to do something. Sometimes with lists like this, you're going to be, you're not going to be playing 2 cards early on. You're going to miss some of your 2 drops or your 1 drops and just feel like, okay, I'm going to go into more of a subpar Surfer game plan. Maybe I can play a Captain Carter on 4 onto my Hope Summers and play 2 3 costs on 5, and that feels pretty good, but you can't shake the feeling that you're doing something wrong or just that you've missed out on something. I wouldn't compare it all the way to Mr. Negative, where it's just like, oh, I didn't draw negative by 4 or 3. I need to leave when they snap me. It's more like the ramp list, where in Chamber ramp, there's just times where it's like, oh, I missed my ramp card. Can I scrape through this? Maybe, but there's just the feeling of like, I'm not I'm not getting my energy with Hope Summers. I didn't get Merlin down, so I'm not able to do Merlin skills onto Hope Summers, or I'm not able to get my Agony into Maverick combo, or sometimes I just miss Kitty. If those sorts of flags feel negative to you, no pun intended with the Mr. Negative reference there, then this list and maybe combo lists in general aren't for you. But I think if you go in there, treat this like I'm playing combo surfer, where I can get like, you know, my Sholau buff onto a Maverick, pass that onto a Brood, and just that location's won if they're not Shadow Kinging you. And then it's not just, oh, they played Shadow King, they have to time it perfectly right. They have to not have priority going into the final turn of the game, blah, 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 blah. So it's easier said than done. Then being able to Prodigy your Sholau, Prodigy your Captain Carter, or even earlier on Prodigying your Surge, because you can do positioning with Kitty Pride, can get some pretty cool plays. Prodigy is low-key like the MVP of this sort of list, and it feels very cool. Now, before I talk about the main list I use, I just want to do a quick shout out. So I finished my climb. I did most of the climb before the hot location went off, which I do prefer because hot location comes up and you have to not build your deck around it, but just be aware of it. And there are some decks that are just way better into it than others. The hot location was cloning that. I think I was around, like, I forget exactly. I was around rank 95. So I finished off the climb using this. This is classic Victoria hand. I'm not a V-Hand gamer, but Roram Plays, who, if you don't follow Roram, leader of the Pixel Alliance represent, streams over on Twitch. Make sure you go follow him. He won Golden Gauntlet 2. Great deck builder, great guy. He had the brilliant and evil idea, earning his name as Villain of Snap, of putting Echo and Gorgon into Victoria hands. So on cloning that, what that did was if someone else was trying to play V-Hand, echoing on the cloning vats will get rid of their V-Hand's ability. And just playing Gorgon makes it so, like, oh, you thought you were getting something for free, you're going to now have to pay tax on that. Same with, us having the Quinjet, and this was very fun on the hot location. Again, I am not a V-Hand gamer, but being able to play 9 Victoria hands is like, oh, this is Marvel Snap and how Ben Brode intended it, right? 9 over half the board being Victoria hands. So I did that to close out the climb, but I'm happy to say that most of my climb was not during the hot location, thankfully. Now, what was the main list I used? So anyone who's been following the channel knows I'm a big Merlin Werewolf gamer, and this list that Sizer was using, there's a lot of minor iterations on this, but I love the Merlin Werewolf package solely for the fact, not solely, but let's say chiefly for the fact that you're able to you're taking a lot of game actions. This is kind of the antithesis of the combo lists or like Hella, where it's like, if I hit my thing, I do it or I don't. You're always doing something. And because of the way Werewolf by Night works is your opponent can't be certain where your werewolf's going to end. Your 315, your huge wolf could be any one of the 3 locations, provided you're not clogging yourself out, and you shouldn't be, with this list at the end. And, KM Best, a lot of people, primarily KM, was saying that, like, oh, I can't wait to get rid of this, like, subpar, like, Annihilus stuff. And what Sizer had done is just kind of like, I forget which exact card he had cut here, but just getting Sholau in here and keeping the Annihilus. I think especially if you're watching this video from the perspective, I still want to hit infinite, and there's the potential that you're going to be going up against bots. Annihilus is even more valuable, but this is not like a bot farming deck. Bots are not going to be able to understand that, like, oh, you're losing the left location because the Hood's in there, and you're losing the right location because the Void from Sentry's in there. They don't understand that, like, they're about to get a Nihilist, for example, so that can feel great. But this list, I played, whatever it was, let's call it 90% of my climb to infinite. There is so much going on here. I won't go into a full, deep card by card breakdown because this list is very similar to one I've covered on the channel a couple times now. But mainly what the idea here is, you get Merlin, you get Werewolf, you're already meeting Sholau's condition naturally because you're playing multiple skills per turn or other cheap cards, and you've just got so much value. You're always taking actions. You play the Hood and Sentry because you can either get rid of the Hood or Sentry's Void. As a plan A, you want to be doing stuff with your Merlin skills. You want to be polymorphing or once in futuring because it's just cheaper, but you have the option of doing Annihilus stuff. People always have to respect the Annihilus play, even though it is a 5-cost maneuver. Spider Ham helps deal with a lot of the combo stuff, the more greedy Sholau decks that are doing Scarlet Spider stuff or Jocasta stuff with the Scarlet Spider, if you hit one of their key pieces, that's a snap right there. Or God forbid, you hit their own Sholau. Same idea with Cable stealing the Sholau or stealing one of their combo pieces, just because of how Sholau is so strong that the meta's warped around it, and you're going to be running into not necessarily a lot of mirrors, but a lot of people doing the same thing. So stealing key pieces from them, you're going to be able to likely use them, or at least know, oh, I've got their Maverick. That's a sap condition. What we're doing here is also Iron Patriot. Very easy for us to win an Iron Patriot location by, you know, putting the Demon from the Hood in there, moving a Werewolf over into there. Quake is a great final turn scammy card. If you are able to, once in future, let's say the Hood or a Spider Hand that you've used up, or even just like an Iron Patriot, for example, on turn 5 going into turn 6, you can either Annihilus plus Quake, you'll have the 8 energy, or hell, even if you're able to super wombo combo it, a 1-costed 4-cost from Iron Patriot, the Demon from the Hood, Quake, Sholau. That's an incredible use of 8 energy. Just make sure you know where your Sholau is going to buff. If you're playing skills in between, it's going to find the last character you played. So just make sure you make a mental note of like, oh, okay, I played a Cable on turn 4. So even though I'm playing like skills in between that, it's not showing, I know that power is going to go back there. So I want to make sure my Werewolf ends up somewhere else. Stuff like that feels great. Merlin is just an MVP overall. You're getting rid of useless cards or even transforming. The only sort of awkward thing is like if you don't want to hit your Cable, 2/4 is really good stats. You don't want to randomly roll into like a green goblin. Goblin can be fine, but like looking over here, like you don't want to turn into a nightmare. Like the 3 costs, 2 to 3 isn't always the best, especially if you're Cable. So just be mindful of that. The elephant in the room here is that, you know, when you're watching this, the Snowball Showdown tournament would have happened, and a lot of the Snowball Showdown decks that did successful there merged around the idea of being very greedy with Sholau and going in the combo direction of Scarlet Spider, Jocasta stuff. That is very strong. I still think even when this video is going to go live, it will have been just under a week of Sholau being out. I don't think we've fully settled on a final deck list. This kind of list is very good. I did a deck guide on this this was the list that won the tournament. I did a deck guide on that on Sunday. Go check that video out. If that sounds more appealing to you, you're welcome to go. But this list felt more dynamic, felt more mid-rangey, felt like I always had ways to stay in games with tons of surprise factor from Iron Patriot cards, Cable cards, Quake swaps, Sentry Annihilus combinations, Merlin polymorphing the Void into a random 5-cost card. I don't like saying like, oh, this is a fun deck or this deck is better, because at the end of the day, it's a PvP only game. The number one thing that decides whether or not we're having fun with something is if we're winning. Let's be real. But for me, this just sent the dopamine triggers firing more. I was able to breeze through pretty much anything my opponent was going to throw at me. We do have tech in the form of Deafening Chord to deal with like the Iris Move Many stuff. We're able to shut down a Sam Wilson or a Madam Web early, or a Hydra Stomper. Shadow King is our answer to if people are trying to do like crazy go over the top man spider stuff of us. Deafening Chord also helps a little bit with the ongoing lists that are out there. You're not hitting Moonstone, but you can snipe their Goliath early on, or a Captain Carter, for example, and that can feel very helpful. Yeah, I absolutely love this list. This was my main list I used on my Infinite Climb. Again, I did that in just about the first 2 days of the season. Hit it Thursday night, or last Thursday night when you were watching it 2 days after the season launched. And this is the list. I strongly recommend you use it. Now, very quick, I do want to just bring something up, because I'm realizing now I'm talking about 2 lists that are, this is a season pass card. You might be saying, all right, great, like, appreciate that, but like I'm not picking up Sholau, or I'm a free to play player. What is there for me to do here? Is this just the Sholau show? Am I just toast on this? And while unfortunately with the way this with the way this meta is shaping up right now, there is a lot of just like, okay, the meta is warped around it. What I do want to, let me just filter stuff over here, is give you an option for something that isn't being used with like Sholau stuff. Now, switching over real quick. Boom, 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 boom. This list right here over on the top left, I'm pulling from Untapped, low game volume, excluding Sholau. This was a list that was basically the list I used to hit infinite before Sholau came out. And what we've done here is I think you can get rid of like the Luke Cage and instead use like a Shadow King in that's place. But you can just do Merc Cannonball stuff. This list is still excellent. You're still doing the same sort of idea of moving your werewolf around. You can use Cable to take their Sholau. You've got the Century Annihilus stuff. Merc Cannonball can be very strong, especially if you have priority and you're like, oh, that giant Maverick you just made, or that giant Scarlet Spider you just made with your Maverick buff or your Sholau on 5 that you're now going to try to copy. I'm going to blow that thing up. Or again, Deafening Chord the Maverick. There's a lot you can do with that stuff. So I don't want you to think that like, I don't have Sholau. What did I watch this video for? There's still that same Werewolf by Night, Pseudo Techie, Quake Cable, Century Annihilus deck still works phenomenally without Sholau. Sholau just is a force multiplier. So with that, just want to say thanks so much for watching the video. If you want more guides on how to hit infinite or push the rank leaderboard yourself, you're already in the right place. Deck guides, card reviews, meta reports every week, most days of the week I'm putting videos out. Hit that subscribe button. We are so close to our 1,000 sub goal. It's going to help us monetize the channel and join the Snap Creator Program, been a dream of mine for years and years. Thank you all so much for the support. Like the video, leave a comment, let me know what decks have you used to hit infinite this month. Are you still on the climb? Do you have questions? Sound off in the comments. I'll reply, engage to pretty much every comment as long as you're not being rude or outright trolling me. I'm Kicker of Elves. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.